a couple years ago when he was number 4. I think it was
Oh
2021
yeah,
or 2022, and he threw for 4 touchdowns against the Bears and did the four
yeah,
celebration. I can't wait to see what he comes up with this year because he hears all of it. Saw a Yahoo Sports interview, you probably saw it too, where he's just kind of chuckling on the other end of just like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and just like, oh man, this guy is
yeah.
raring to go this
He had
season.
that little smirk. You know what that smirk means?
Woo! We know what that's like in Chiefs Kingdom. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Cyclone Kingdom, and I am pleased to be joined by Mark Gunnels today, Fox Sports co-host over there, also an Arrowhead Pride contributor, and we got some Lakers stuff going on. Do you have any inside info about where LeBron's going?
Man, I have no idea. I'm kind of in the dark like everybody else. But if I had to guess, I'm gonna say Miami. I think he goes back to
Okay,
Miami. Yeah.
okay. That covers our LeBron coverage for today, but wanted to get his take on that. But Mark, we appreciate you joining on. You got a lot of fun Chiefs content over there on X, and so yeah, we appreciate you joining the show today.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, a lot has happened this past offseason for the Chiefs, and kind of the main discourse we've been having with other people is what has been your take since really Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL. So however you want to take that question, that's kind of the first way we want to go with this. How have you kind of reacted to how everything has transpired since Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL to where we sit, basically with training camp starting this week and next week?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think it's remarkable that he was even out there in OTAs participating with the brace on his leg. I mean, the guy, as we know, he's just built differently. There was no doubt in my mind that he was going to recover quicker than normal guys do, and I fully expect him to be ready for week 1. I think that's obviously the goal. And the main thing for me is the pickup of Kenneth Walker. I think that pickup is huge because the Chiefs haven't had a good running back since what, Kareem Hunt in
Yeah.
2018, and that was only for 11 games because the whole incident in the hotel we know about that happened. So this is the best back that Mahomes, you could argue, has ever had. I mean, we haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher in the Mahomes era once. No 1,000-yard rushers, and Kenneth Walker has done that twice. Obviously won the MVP in the Super Bowl, so we know what he's capable of, and I think people are kind of still underselling that pickup. I think nationally it hasn't really got as much attention as it should, especially considering come off of ACL. So you would think, especially early on, you want to lean more on that running game to kind of ease Mahomes back in. And now you have a running back that's capable of doing that, and he has that explosive factor that we just simply haven't had. I mean, shout out to Kareem Hunt. I mean, he's good at those 3rd and 1s and getting that first down. But as far as getting runs over 10 plus yards, we really didn't have that. So I think that's going to really open up a lot of things for the offense.
Yeah, I mean, all love to Isaiah Pacheco, but like, let's be real, man. Like, what's crazy is that stat that you mentioned that I think people don't like believe us when we say that Mahomes hasn't had a 1,000-yard rusher. I also don't think they believe us when we say we're one of the only teams that hasn't had that with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, basically every other team in the NFL has had a 1,000-yard rusher at some point in the past
Yeah.
5 or 10 years. So it is just thank goodness for Kenneth Walker and for bringing him into Kansas City. Curious on your take on this, Mark. When we think about the offseason and how it's transpired with the Chiefs taking a lot of defense, I know I was initially not the most bit enthused about the Monster Delane pick, and obviously you hope it works out. What was your reaction to the Chiefs draft as a whole? Were you excited about it? Skeptical about it? How do you feel like they attacked the draft in the way that they were supposed to?
Initially, I was kind of like you. I was like, I'm not sure what the direction is here,
Yeah.
especially after that first pick. But after time went on, you really got to analyze the situation. I thought they nailed it. It's the way the board felt. I feel like with a lot of these guys, and with Delane, getting him reaching, I guess you could say, trading up at that point, probably a little bit of reach, but you could argue that he's probably the safest pick at that point. I mean, he's clearly the number 1 corner in this draft class. I think he is, at worst, he's going to be a good cornerback. Now, Can he be an all-pro, a future Hall of Famer? That's what you want when you got to pick a guy that high. But I think his floor is he's still going to be a good NFL corner, which is something that you can still be okay with. And I like the Peter Woods pick, the second first-round pick. I mean, this guy at one point was going to be a top 10 prospect after 2 years ago after Clemson. Now, last year was kind of a disappointing year, but the talent is clearly there. He was the number one rated high school player entering college. So there's definitely talent there. And I think with Chris Jones obviously getting older, and now you have somebody that can mentor him, and I think you may have your Chris Jones replacement, Peter Woods, in the next couple years. I think he's going to show flashes in year one, but I think by year 2 and 3, you'll really start to see what he's capable of doing. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good draft. Now, I would have liked to take a receiver a little bit earlier than what they did.
Yeah.
Ideally. But I think whether it's the right decision or wrong decision, I think they're banking on Rashee Rice staying on the field, first of all. And they're banking on Xavier Worthy having a year 3 leap. Now, last year I kind of gave him a pass because he was playing injured all year. Obviously, week 1 when Kelsey took him out, he was playing with a shoulder injury. So I kind of am a little lenient there to, okay, now you're fully healthy. There's been a lot of talk in the offseason about how they expect him to take a leap. So they're going to need it because he's, to me, is the X factor. No pun intended, Xavier Worthy. Yep. He's the X factor, I think, in the passing game for sure.
Yeah. No, I've said for months now that I think Xavier Worthy is one of the most important players for the Chiefs this season. I mean, he could be the difference between them winning the division and having a bye and the Chiefs missing the playoffs again. You know, I feel like he's that important because of the Rashee Rice element. Curious on how you think that has gone. What's your take on who he is as a player, who he is as a person? I mean, everyone's got their take about what's going on with him. What's kind of your perspective on where he's at in his professional career?
Well, as a player, I think when he's on the field, he's a top 15-ish wide receiver, top 20 for sure. Yeah. I mean, if he played all of last season, if you're going based on his pace, he was on pace to get about 1,500 yards last year if he played all 17 games. But the question is, can you get him there? Obviously, the year before that, he had the injury. Then last year, the suspension. And, you know, maybe I'm just being a little optimistic here, but maybe with him actually going to jail for a month was like the reality check he really needed to say, okay, I got to really get my stuff together now because he's in a contract year. Like, this is a huge year for him, whether he plays with the Chiefs beyond this year or not, because he has to show that he can stay on the field and he can still produce at a high level because he has a lot of generational money on the line potentially after this season with him being a free agent. So it's now or never. So I think that bodes well for the Chiefs because they say the contract year is undefeated, right? So you would hope that he keeps his nose clean for the next, 6 to 8 months?
You hope so. I like your optimism because I've definitely not been the biggest fan of him over the past couple of years. I'm a big Xavier Worthy guy, I think, going into this season. But, yeah, if you can get something out of Rashee Rice and he can figure out the straight and narrow, as they say, I think they'll be in a good spot. All right, yeah. The biggest thing I think that has kind of hit the fan this offseason is this whole top 100 list, the executives, and coaches ranking players. It came out that Patrick Mahomes was consensus number 2, which, why is Josh Allen still number 1? You can have that debate, but it's at least a respectable opinion. But seeing the lowest ranking and the highest ranking of each player, where, Patrick Mahomes, his highest ranking was 1, and his lowest ranking was 9. 9, Mark. Why do people still doubt Patrick Mahomes? Just go on a little Mahomes right here if you want. What is going on with the NFL and how they're reacting to Mahomes?
Well, I mean, you always want to find a new shiny toy. That's kind of how the media is nowadays. You kind of get bored of the guy that's always at the top and winning. I mean, we kind of saw it with Tom Brady, too, as well. They had other guys trying to prop them up over him, but then he just kept winning and winning. It was like, okay, it's just undeniable. And you would think Mahomes has earned that cachet. He's won 3 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs. I mean, one bad year, and then now they kind of been waiting for this. And now he's come off an ACL, so they're like, will he bounce back? Will he be the same guy? And with the Josh Allen being one thing, it's not that I don't I don't mind it that much. I think Josh Allen's number 2 in my mind. But the thing is, if you're going off of the last time we saw Josh Allen play, he had 4 turnovers against Denver in the playoffs. Like, if we're going just off of last year, why is it not Matthew Stafford number 1 then? I mean, he won MVP. You know, he went to the playoffs. He had an amazing year, threw for over 40 touchdowns, nearly 5,000 yards. I know he's older, but still, he won MVP. So I don't know the criteria with that. So that's why I'm a little confused. But, I mean, Mahomes still at 2. It's fine because, as we know, he uses anything he can as extra motivation. He's a psycho in that way. So I'm actually kind of glad that he probably feels slighted by being number 2 because that just adds extra fuel for him for this year.
I think, think about a couple of years ago when he was number 4. I think it was 2021 or 2022, and he threw for 4 touchdowns against the Bears and did the 4 celebration. I can't wait to see what he comes up with this year because he hears all of it. Saw a Yahoo Sports interview, you probably saw it too, where he's just kind of chuckling on the other end of just like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and just like, oh man, this guy is raring to go.
He had that little smirk. You know what that smirk means.
we know what that's like in Chiefs Kingdom. All right, we want to get to some Chiefs predictions here in just a second because training camp's coming up here soon. But I also want to hear, who do you think in the AFC, and then if you want to go NFC as well, is a threat to contend for a Super Bowl again? Obviously, people think the Chiefs are dead. They're dead in the water. Moving on to the new shiny toys, you said, which is a great point. Who are the teams in your mind that it's like, okay, they're still going to be here? Really what I'm asking is, do you think the Denver Broncos are a fluke, or do you think they're here to stay? Because I personally think the regression is coming.
That's a tricky one. I think they're still a playoff team, but I don't think they're winning the division again. I think the Chiefs are going to reclaim that title as long as they stay relatively healthy. They had a lot of one-score wins last year and a lot of comeback wins. If you remember the Broncos year, like they shouldn't have won a lot of these games that they won. I mean, give them credit. Bo Nix was great in the fourth quarter in a lot of these games, but I don't think that's a recipe for sustainable success moving forward. They did get a little bit better offensively, though. They added Jalen Waddle, which I think was a pretty good pickup for them, to be honest. But, he's come off injury as well, and I don't know, man. It's just something about it. I think they'll be like a 9, maybe 10-win team, but I don't think that'll be enough to win the division this year. I think you got at least probably get to 11 this year, I think, in the AFC West. And the Chargers, who knows? I mean, the Chargers are the Chargers. You want to believe in them every year. They always have the talent. Justin Herbert has the look of a great quarterback, 6'6", 220, 230, big arm, but they just seem to always be snake bitten with injuries every single year. I don't know what's up their medical staff there, but it's just crazy to me. But I think it'll still be those 3 teams kind of competing for that top spot, with the Raiders obviously finishing last once again. But as far as the AFC as a whole, I hate to say this because I really don't like these guys, but I actually think the Bengals may get back in the mix this year.
Okay.
I really do. I think they've added some stuff on defense. I know they lost Trey Hendrickson, but they added Dexter Lawrence from the Giants. I like that pickup. Jonathan Allen on the D-line, a veteran. They got our boy Brian Cook in the secondary. They made some couple good moves defensively. They got boy Mafe from Seattle on the D-line as well. And we know how good their offense is. Like, it's never a question if they can put up points. So if their defense can just be at least average, I think they could win the AFC North. I mean, because the Ravens have a new head coach, so we don't know what's going to happen there. The Steelers, they still have Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. I mean, come on. And the Browns are the Browns. So watch out for Cincinnati this year. I think especially because Joe Burrow, you can tell he's been frustrated the last few years, kind of putting pressure on that front office. It's kind of a do-or-die year for them, I think.
No, I think that's a great point. I've been thinking about the Bengals a lot, especially with the new quarterback season that just came out, where you see Joe Flacco and Joe Burrow, and it's like, man, Joe Burrow's healthy, and that's a big if sometimes, but if he's healthy, they can be right back in contention for that because, I mean, he's been the only guy that can say, I've taken Mahomes' chain a little bit in the playoffs. Everyone else can't really say that. So as much as he's been hurt, you never know with Joe Burrow if he's on his game. So, all right, training camp starts next week. Go ahead.
And Buffalo, too. Buffalo's always in the mix, too. I want to mention them as well. Yeah. They're always going to be in the mix, too.
They're always in the mix, but you know how that goes usually. All right, so training camp starts next week. Rookies really report this week as well. Give me some names of guys that maybe Chiefs Kingdom isn't really thinking about or talking about of guys that are really going to stamp themselves as a 53-man roster guy and a guy that can contribute to the Chiefs this year?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys I'm liking, especially on the offensive side. Emmett Johnson, I like that pick, the running back from Nebraska. I watched a few of his games, actually, last year. He just happened to be on TV, and he stood out a few times I watched him. So I really like that pick. That was a good value pick in my mind. I think he could be running back, too, behind Kenneth Walker. And then the receiver, Cyrus Allen. I believe he was a 6th-round pick, I believe. Yep. He's a really good route runner. I think that's another good value pick. He can be a guy that can sneak in that back end of the wide receiver rotation. Maybe he's your wide receiver 4 or 5 type guy. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I know we've been seeing like the clips in the offseason, OTAs and stuff like that. He looks pretty good, man. I think he's going to be one of those training camp darlings. There's always like that guy that people kind of wrap their arm around at training camp. I can see Cyrus Allen being that guy that we start seeing a lot of clips on X every other day. Like, wow, he's making some big-time plays.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What about defensively? Who are some guys that maybe no one's talking about?
Defensively, I think the guy that can make or break this class defensively, now, we already know about the first-round picks. Those are obvious. But Mason Thomas.
Talk about him.
The edge rusher from Oklahoma. I think he's the kind of swing guy for this defensive class. If he pops, I think you may have one of those draft classes that you think can rival the one that we always talk about in 2022, right? Because I expect Peter Woods to be good. I expect Delane to be good. Mason Thomas is kind of like that wild card. Like, he could be really good or he could just be, you don't know. So I think he's the guy that you look forward to see how good this class can really be.
Man, I've been over the moon about him. And I know that the jokes have gone around about, Steve Spagnuolo, it's not his type of guy, and he wasn't excited when they drafted him, all that nonsense. But at the end of the day, if Mason Thomas can produce, no one is going to be happier than Steve Spagnuolo. And so I think that he is just an absolute maniac. I think it's been the best way to describe him. I've seen some other people describe him as that, and man, just the way that he attacks, even just his off-season workouts and the videos of that, it's been really cool. So I'm super pumped for him. So, all right, it's end of July. The season hasn't officially started yet. We still got preseason. We still got crazy injuries that could happen with other teams. If you had to predict what the Chiefs' record will be, you don't have to go game by game if you don't want to, but just what do you think their record will be, and what do you think happens in 2026 and 27?
Oh man, put me on the spot there. Well, I will say this, and I actually posted this on X a few days ago. I think getting off to a good start is crucial this year, especially when Mahomes came off the ACL injury. I think the schedule favors them to get off to a good start. Now, week one's going to be tough, but it is at home. You play Denver. So that, to me, that's kind of like a 50-50 game. We'll see. But after that, the next 3, you should win those games. You're at home against the Colts, and I know historically the Colts kind of give us those weird games, but I think you should win that game. And then the next 2, you play Miami and the Raiders. So those are your first 4 games. So I think worst case, you go 3-1 to start if you lose that Denver game. And then, I mean, it gets tougher, obviously, after that. But I think overall, I feel comfortable in that 11-6, 12-5 range.
Yeah.
I would say 12-5 at best. Maybe settle at 11-6. I think either one of those would be good enough to win the division. And as long as you get in the field, I don't really care about what seed the Chiefs are this year. Normally, I want to get the 1 seed, but this year, especially after missing the playoffs last year, that was torture. We know we've been so spoiled of being in the AFC Championship game. Just get in the field. I don't even care what seed you are. Get in there and just play ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the same boat with you. I think it's just important to get in the playoffs when you're the Chiefs. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid and all those different things. But you mentioned they missed the playoffs. And I hate to even ask this question as we finish up, but if the Chiefs miss the playoffs again, for whatever reason, right? Probably going to be because of injury, because there seems to be some talent around the team. What types of conversations do you think need to start happening? Or do any conversations need to start happening if they miss the playoffs again?
Well, there'll definitely need to be some conversations that need to be happening. And it'll start with Big Red. You know, I don't know how much longer he's going to coach. or what his plans are. I know his contract, I think it runs through another 3 or 4 years, I believe, or something like that. Yeah, but I mean, you got to start there, right? Because they cleaned house. I mean, the coaching staff is pretty much brand new across the board. I mean, you brought in pretty much everybody except somehow Dave Tope kept his job, though. He's the only one that was safe from a special teams perspective. But everybody else kind of got out of there. You got Eric Bieniemy back, so you got some familiarity there. You know, add some discipline as well. And if you don't have any major injury, like let's knock on wood, Mahomes gets hurt again or something, then you kind of have that pass. But if you're relatively healthy and you miss the playoffs again, I don't know, man. It's going to be very uncomfortable at one Arrowhead Drive for sure.
If they miss the playoffs again, I'm going to have some major questions, not just for Andy Reid, but for Brett Veach, I think. The way they handled the wide receiver position this offseason, for better or for worse, the way that they kind of put trust in Rashee Rice when you knew something was probably going to go wrong again, just was not the greatest vote of confidence for me as a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
If they make the playoffs, nobody really cares. But if you don't make a deep run again and you miss the playoffs, I mean, it's time to start having those hard conversations. And I'm glad you think so too, because I've heard a lot of Chiefs fans saying, Andy Reid, he's a legendary coach, he's done all these great things. Just 2 seasons isn't the end of the world. Look at how Philly ended. I mean, the way that the Eagles' tenure ended after they made the Super Bowl and had a game with the Patriots they ended up losing, they ended up just falling off a cliff. And I would hate to see that happen with the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is much better than Donovan McNabb. But it needs to be a conversation, I think. So
while we're here, actually, I have a question for you.
Yeah, come on.
Would you bring in Stefon Diggs?
A month or 2 ago, I would have, because it was kind of the prime time to do it. The court case had ended, all this different stuff. Now that it hasn't happened, I've heard kind of Nate Taylor talk about it ad nauseum about the Chiefs are kind of standing pat. I don't love that they're standing pat. I would love them to bring somebody in. I just don't know if we can afford Diggs. I just don't know if he'd be willing to come in on a vet minimum deal. If he did, it'd be great. But I feel like Stefon Diggs type of guy where it's like, nah, pay me my money. I would.
It goes on. He may not have a choice.
I know.
I mean, he hasn't got signed yet. Training camp start in a few days, so
the
longer it goes on, he may have to just settle for whatever team offers him that. So we'll see.
Yeah, the Tyreek Hill conversation is interesting too. Is he going to even be able to play this year?
Yeah.
You got guys like Deebo Samuel. I mean, some of these guys don't have a team yet, and so it's just interesting with training camp starting. That I think it's a good point you bring up of, do they bring somebody in? I mean, think about years past where they brought in Jerick McKinnon like the week before training camp started, and he ended up being one of the biggest contributors for the Chiefs. Could easily have someone like that again. So, all right, last question to finish up. We've talked Chiefs record, all these different things. One hot take going into the NFL season. It doesn't have to be Chiefs related. It can be NFL related. There's been rumors swirling about Aaron Donald on retiring. All this fun stuff that we're talking about. What is one hot take that you have that is going to blow people's minds this NFL season?
Okay, I got one for you. So every year since the NFL has realigned to 8 divisions with 4 teams each, that was about 23 years ago. 20 of those 23 years, there's been a team that's went from worst to first in the division. So it happens about 90% of the time. So with that being said, I have the Giants winning the NFC East.
Talk to me, bro. Year. I'm the same way.
Oh, really? You're on board?
Dude, I am a huge Giants guy this year. A huge Giant.
And it's not even all about them either. It's about the division, too, because the Eagles got worse. The Cowboys, I think the Cowboys are going to be good, but it's still the Cowboys. Like, can you really trust them? And then the Commanders, I mean, JD5 coming off an injury. I don't know what that looks like. They got John Harbaugh now, so they have a real grown-up in the room as their head coach. I like Dart. I'm a Dart guy. They brought in Isaiah Likely, who I like. Now, my only concern is the Malik Neighbors situation. As long as he's healthy and ready to go early in the season, I like their defense. They got some. I think the Giants are going to be pretty good, man. And I don't think it's going to take that many games to win that division. I think maybe 9-10 games to win that division this year. I think the Eagles are really going to take a big step back.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean the Commanders. Even just watching quarterback, the way the Netflix show works is so cool because you can see behind the scenes a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Watching Jaden Daniels, I remember talking to my wife about it, where it's just like, can we get this dude some carbs? Like, this guy needs to bulk up, get some double cheeseburgers. I mean, he doesn't need to put on muscle. He just needs to put on weight. Like, he's too limber. And so, yeah, for that reason, I think the Eagles fire Sirianni this year. I mean, I don't think it goes well. And then, yeah, the Cowboys being the Cowboys, dude, it's like, since 1996, they've done absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Speaking of Jada, you see him glazing Mahomes?
Dude, that was so awesome. I tweeted that out, and I was like, can we just have more, like, awareness from other people just to do that, just to accept greatness? I get that we hate, and you're a Raiders fan or you're a Bills fan or whatever, and you don't want to love on Mahomes. Just admit he's good. I love Josh Allen. I think he's a great player.
I don't
think he's good in clutch time. So
yeah.
No, I'm so glad you mentioned the Giants, bro. I'm a big Giants guy. So
okay, but, I thought I was on the island on that one. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I'm a huge Giants guy. But Mark, we appreciate you coming on the show. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so just follow me on X, Twitter. I still call it Twitter, but it's technically X now. Yeah. Follow me at Mark A. Gunnels. That's where I post all my content. Also on Instagram at Mark A. Gunnels as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I post all my links there, so all my hot takes and things of that nature you'll see on there. So yeah, there you go.
Come on. I love it. Well, Mark, we appreciate you joining on. Again, we're not going to hold it against you that you're a Kansas fan. We appreciate you here over here. At
we're going to talk We're going to talk about that one day, man. I know you're an Iowa State guy,
bro. So. We're going to have to. I was thinking about that as we were scheduling this Chiefs one. I was like, man, we might have some other sports to discuss in the future. So we'll probably hit you up with those things. But we appreciate you guys following along. Make sure to like and subscribe for all Chiefs and Cyclones content. Follow Mark over there on his links and on X. And as always, guys, how about those Chiefs?